And thank you very much for staying. This is the Marketplace. Now to our very first story. We are not embarking on any load shedding program for consumers in Accra. That's the assurance coming from the National Load Management Committee, made up of the ECG, GridCo, the VRA, and other independent power producers. This is despite the sustained power outages in the metropolis. George Rafi has more.
Over the past 2 weeks, portions of the metropolis, including East Legon, Medina, Adenta, and Airport Residential, have all experienced some sustained power outages over long hours. But according to members in charge of power distribution on the Load Management Committee, this has to do with the heavy rains experienced recently, which affected supply, and some slight challenges with power transmission, which has been resolved. According to the committee, the country is even producing more than what it needs. The country is now said to be generating more than 2,000 megawatts of power against a daily demand for around 1,800 megawatts. Joy Business is learning the excess capacity has been influenced by improved production from the power generating plants in the country, like Asogli, which is producing about 100 megawatts, the Tico plant, which is also operating at full capacity, and some new plants that have actually come on board. Whilst all the units at the Akosombo Hydro plant is not even being utilized, the country is even exporting power to Togo. According to the Load Management Committee, they don't foresee any problem with power distribution anytime soon, unless the country experiences some financial challenges in restocking crude supplies and gas for the plants in the country.
Meanwhile, the power crisis and high cost of credit are among other issues the business community would be seeking to find solutions to at the Ghana-South Africa Chamber breakfast meeting on Wednesday. Deputy Trade Minister Robert Ahomka Lindsay is expected to outline government's policy initiatives and emerging opportunities for businesses. President of the Chamber, Ashley Ricks, has been speaking to Joy Business ahead of the breakfast meeting tomorrow.
I think a lot of things, especially for the private sector, I think the main sort of factor they look at is funding and the cost of funding. We've recently seen the Bank of Ghana drop the MPR about 200 basis points, so that is very positive, and we're hoping to continue to see that going in the future and possibly even get the MPR down to maybe 18%. As well as the other big factor for the private sector is the constant electricity supply. So we want to sort of hear what his policy initiatives are around that and what his plans are to try and stabilize electricity supply in Ghana.
Okay. So how does one get to be a part of this breakfast meeting?
Right. So it's obviously open to all of the Ghana South African Business Chamber members as well as the general public. So if you would like to come and attend and listen to the Deputy Minister and see what's going to be happening in Ghana for the next year, you're welcome to come and attend. The breakfast starts at 7 o'clock at Labadi Beach Hotel, and for non-members it's 150 Ghana CD to attend.
All right, so the breakfast meeting is supported by Joy Business. Moving on, a former Deputy Finance Minister, Ato Forson, is accusing the IMF of treating the government preferentially over the implementation of the IMF program. In an interview with Joy Business, Ato Forson is alleging the fund has been treating the current government with kid gloves by extending some exemptions when clear targets under the program have not been met. He maintains the current arrangement could, in the long term, be detrimental to the economy.
One major bill that was outstanding was the fact that we should actually look at the value-added tax regime and possibly go through Parliament and get approval with the new VAT exemption regimes. In fact, I can say on authority that VAT on financial services was also a creation of the IMF. The IMF today is saying that indeed, at the time, they said that we should implement it as a pro-action. It was implemented as a pro-action. This new administration, what have we seen? Abolish. It's gone. It's gone. Today, we are also seeing the fact that VAT regime, where real estate, not real estate, where the likes of retailers and wholesalers in the past were given flat rate of 3%. The IMF insisted that we move away from 3% flat rate, but actually encourage them to do input and output of 17.5%, for the value at the end of the day is 3%. But let us understand that the strength of value-added tax is record-keeping. by exempting retailers and, most importantly, wholesalers from keeping records is that you've moved them away from where people normally call it formal sector to the informal sector. This is something that weakens the value-added tax. It erodes the base of value-added tax. It weakens and undermines compliance. And most importantly, because they don't keep records, it will end up breeding corruption in the value-added tax regime. Today, we are seeing a trend that this new administration have gone back to it. So clearly, the market watchers want assurance from the IMF as to why they are treating this government with kid growths already in the middle of the program.
While the former Deputy Finance Minister is also warning of an impending financial crisis for the economy, it follows government's decision to go for over $1 billion from a single institutional investor, Franklin Templeton, in a historic bond auction last week. The previous administration argues the cedi and economy could suffer greatly anytime the institutional investor decides to sell the bonds it's holding before it matures. Former Deputy Finance Minister Ato Forson tells us it's always prudent to spread the risks for such bonds.
When you have an international transaction like Franklin Templeton coming to invest over $1 billion into your economy, clearly, and it's a foreign transaction, it should have come to Parliament. So it's another point we'll take from there.
This is something that the minority will take it up. Even at the Finance Committee level, some may say.
I've thrown it out there first. We'll take it from there secondly.
We also hear that the fund might even be giving them some space to borrow because this fund that they took in may have some impact on the public debt. So if these borrowings are supposed to be going to expanding the economy or infrastructure projects as well, what do you make of this as well?
The IMF program is aimed at debt sustainability. So clearly, if you have a debt to GDP in the region of 70s, 2015 it was 72.25. 2016 it moved to 72. No, in fact, it was 72% in 2015 December, and it's moved to 72.5 in 2016. Provisional. I say provisional because we're still waiting for Ghana Fiscal Service to come out with the final GDP numbers. If the nominal changes, then the debt to GDP is going to change. My projection is that debt to GDP will actually be almost the same as 2015 from 2016. It's going to be about 72. And if you jump it from 72 and add 8% point within 1 year to 80%, I'll be surprised if the IMF granted them additional room to borrow. Then it means if you borrow, then what IMF is going to do is that they will end up revising the deficit.
Away from that, about 1,000 graduates from various tertiary institutions are to be employed by government to support small and medium-scale enterprises develop business plans. This is part of government's initiative towards tackling the difficulties Ghanaian businesses face in securing credit and unemployment, especially among graduates. The Minister for Investment and Business Development, Ibrahim Awal Mohammed, revealed this during the quarterly meeting of the Ashanti Brahafo Regional Chapter of the Association of Ghana Industries.
The Minister, Ibrahim Awal Mohammed, observes the capacity of businesses to produce good business plans, especially for financial support, is very low. He says the ministry will place premium on the initiative to make Ghanaian businesses more globally competitive. He was speaking at the first quarterly meeting of the Association of Ghana Industries for the Bono, Ahafo and Ashanti regions here in Kumasi.
The government is in the process of launching a national entrepreneurship and innovation plan. The plan will be implemented to assist businesses to secure markets during the critical stages of development and to tap into a wide supply chain of network during their growth period. What we intend to do is that we want to start a program in tertiary institutions. Polytechs and universities, when they are there, we have the incubator program, where we get people with business ideas, support them, grow them. By the time they come out, they already have a lot of ideas. Instead of coming to seek for a job, they will now be job owners instead of being job seekers. We want to do that across the country. We also want to train a lot of graduates, about 1,000 of them, who go around and help all our small businesses to do business plans. Very important. about 1,000 to 2,000 young people. They will go around and help businesses to do their business plan, because the business plan is the basis for every business. And this business plan, they will not charge even 50 cedis. To virtually be free. Because most banks say businesses come, the business plans are not good, so therefore they cannot get what's called loans. We want to support young people, train them on how to do business, and they'll come around all the regions and support our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, and our sons to do very good business plans. This plan that will help them to get support from banks and other donors. So it's a very important program to start by close of this year. And I want to take advantage of it.
Chief Executive of Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly shared the concerns of the minister. Osei Esibiantwi says it is the reason Ghanaian businesses cannot secure foreign contracts compared to other African counterparts. So how critical is plan writing to new businesses?
It is not far-fetched. When businesses come participate in our business linkage program, one of the things they go through is a 6-day, we call entrepreneurial training program, where they look at the competencies of successful businesses. And certainly during the course of the 1 week, one of the things they touch on is the production of business plans. If government is in any way going to make the production or the preparation of business plans one of the ways in which they wish to support, I think that's welcome. It's a good step, and I'll encourage it. It's important that the way in which it's delivered is looked at so that it is effective. That's what I would say.
I sincere apologies for that hitch there. And still staying within the Ashanti region, the Forestry Commission is asking for military and police assistance to curb the influx of illegal mining in forest reserves in the Ashanti region. Now, officials say the situation has reached uncontrolled levels as it persistently destroys river bodies and plant and aquatic lives. In this special feature, Insura FM's Ohemin Teria takes a look at activities of illegal miners in some forest reserves and how forestry officials struggle to deal with them.
Water bodies which serve as the only source of drinking water for communities in Amansia Central and West, Achumangobieja, Afano North districts, among others, have been polluted. Forestry officials are overwhelmed by the invasion of reserves by illegal miners who have mounted several chamfai machines, a Chinese technology on Abuabo, Ofin and other streams.
Galamsey activities in Ashanti region inside forest reserves is quite widespread. It's not only in the Oda forest, even in the Oda, it's not only at one place. It's spread around, it's the entire forest reserve in different areas. And apart from the Oda River Forest Reserve, we have other forest reserves in the region, notably the Apamprama Forest Reserve, the Supuma Forest Reserve, the Subin Shelter Belt Forest Reserve, all in the Bekwai area. And we have the Siri Forest Reserve around Tepa area. We have Asinayon, we have Tanofing, we have Mirasa, we have Prakol Forest Reserves, all of them in the Ashanti region.
The chamfai comes with two engines, one that powers the entire system and another that pumps water from and discharges waste into the stream. About 50 of the machines, manned by at least 4 men, sit on the Odan River within the Odan Forest Reserve in the Amansia Central District. The once colorless stream now looks milky as the sound of chamfai continuously rams across the river. Efforts by forestry officials to clamp down on the miners have been unsuccessful as they outwit personnel by swimming in the muddied water to escape. Pursuing them comes with a cost to the Bekwai District Forestry Office, especially as there are no life jackets while small canoes are used to pursue the illegal miners. Professional divers carry forestry officials on the back to be able to reach the other side of the river in pursuit of the miners.
Because, we are foresters and we are not professional divers and swimmers. So as soon as you come and they chance on you, they just dive into the water. So like I told you, our strategy has been to get professional divers and swimmers like you are seeing just now to get us onto the river body so that we can, get access to the machines and burn them.
Nonetheless, officials persevered until they managed to set about 20 of the Chamfine machines ablaze. Assistant District Manager at Bekwai Forestry Office, Emmanuel Japon Donko, is overwhelmed by the development. He says about 4 kilometers of the forest has been destroyed.
There are a lot of destruction caused of that forest reserve. The river course was not as wide as we see it, but as you can see, they have widened the course of the river because the mineral resources are within the river banks. So what they do is that they get to, take the soils from the river bank and wash, widening the course of the river. And if you look at the coloring of the river, they have done a lot of pollution to the river. And these banks of the river is habitat for some of the trees and the animals. So we are losing all these diverse form of species.
According to Mr. Ejapon, it will take police military intervention to flush out all illegal miners from the area.
You have a lot of trees, falling down because of the activities of these or illegal miners. And looking at the coloring of the river too, they've caused a lot of pollution to the river body. And again, when we were coming, a lot of us were feeling thirsty. And, at first, we were not bringing sachet water. But now we'd have to carry sachet water to the bush before we can get water to drink. All our water bodies are polluted. So they've done a lot of great damage to the water body.
A distance from the river bank is Abrochiri, a small community whose inhabitants hitherto prided itself as farmers. These wooden sheds house illegal miners, mostly from Volta and Bono Ahafo regions. Akwasianto, a native of Yeji Kojobofo, owns one of the wooden homes here. Akwasi had abandoned a less paid masonry and farming ventures to engage in Galamsey. He has no immediate plans to give up the lucrative Galamsey business, having acquired a boat at 5,000 Ghana cedis. He tells me he raised the money in 3 weeks.
First,
I was a farmer before I left to do some masonry work, but things were hard, so I moved on to Galamsey. Farming doesn't pay. It's more of a promise and fail thing because it's rain-fed and the rains are not reliable. Someone has been farming for ages but has nothing to show for it. Not even 2,000 Ghana cedis. As for the river, we destroyed long ago.
Yes, no count.
The activities of illegal miners are peculiar, not only to the Odan Reserve. The Rapid Response Team of the Forestry Commission cannot handle this alone. Isaac Nobuleshen is the Assistant Regional Director of the Forestry Services Division.
In the past, we've arrested illegal miners, both Ghanaians and foreigners. And when we hand them over to the prosecuting agencies, we are mostly not happy with the outcome. So we would want the police especially to step up their prosecutorial role. That is the way they can assist us as a commission to deal with this menace, and the judiciary to also apply the relevant punitive measures as stated by law.
A very unfortunate development in the Ashanti region. Meanwhile, the Minerals Commission is making a case for the small-scale mining industry to be rather developed as the crackdown on the illegal miners continues. The Chief Executive, Dr. Tony Obin, argues licensed small-scale miners are making significant contributions to the economy that can be maximized if well managed.
There have been calls for a ban on small-scale mining in general to effectively tackle the illegal mining or Galamsey menace. The Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission, Dr. Tony Aubin, however, argues the economic contribution of licensed small-scale miners has been increasing over the years, even though with some challenges.
Just in the early part of the 90s, seriously, small-scale mining production was very negligible, very small. You won't see it on the graph. Now, small-scale mining production is about 1/3 of the entire gold production in the country. And for diamonds, 100% is produced by small-scale miners. Now, the problem with gold is that when we sell the gold, we don't find out where you produce your gold from. You see, so among those who are producing, you have those in the illegal mining sector which are producing and legitimately selling. That's a challenge because the law does not require the buyer to ask the source of the gold.
The Minerals Commission has in the last 2 years been implementing a program to license especially illegal miners. Dr. Aubin says the current clampdown on illegal mining should rather facilitate this initiative.
The way we are trying to address illegal mining issues now will help what we are trying to do. To the extent that we'll be able to take out those who are doing it illegally and even encourage them to do it in the fold of the law. Because, you know, we need to cease the bleeding. We need to stop those who are doing it illegally. And then we can say that, look, we are recategorizing. We now allow people to go into partnership. We now allow people to get bigger space. And then we would now require that every small-scale mining entity must have qualified geologists and qualified mining engineer to help them design proper mining practice.
Over 1,000 small-scale mining licenses have been issued so far. Government has expressed satisfaction with the level of progress made in the crackdown on illegal operators as the 3-week ultimatum draws to a close.
Shifting the focus away from illegal mining activities, insurance company Glyco has signed a 100,000 cedi public reliability insurance for revelers who will be in Kwewu for the upcoming Easter festivities. CEO of the Ghana Tourist Authority, Akwesi Ajimai, said this has become necessary because of the Kintam waterfall incident, adding insurance coverage will from now be a prerequisite for all tourist sites. Head of Corporate Affairs at Glyco, Ifa Roxon, said that aside the insurance package for the Easter celebrations, Glyco is also making available 80% discount to anyone taking part in the Easter program.
GTA thought it wise that paragliding event is one huge event that occupies the Kwewu festivity, and for the fact that people are afraid of visiting tourist centers, why don't you come in and provide some kind of comfort, peace of mind for people attending the Kwewu event? So as part of our corporate social responsibility, we thought that why not? I mean, at the end of the day, it's mostly Ghanaians will be visiting the storage centers, and we will be doing our duty as an indigenous Ghanaian company to provide the peace of mind. That's what we do as insurance. So we came in to sponsor the Ghana Tourism Authority with a public liability insurance of 100,000 over the 3 days period. So we know, I mean, from our discussions and meetings, we know that they've put in place all the safety measures. They've flown in seasoned pilots who are coming in to make sure that there's zero disaster, but no one knows tomorrow. So if anything happens, you know, the Glyco also has provided an insurance cover so that should anything happen, you are covered. And this insurance package is for everyone who will be in the environs of the paragliding event. So whether you are flying, whether you are just a mere spectator going to see people who are flying, whether you are selling your wares there or just taking selfies, once you are in the environs of the paragliding event, you are covered by insurance. And if anything happens, Glyco will cover you against death, against accidental injuries, or loss of property if it happens in that way.
It's only for paragliding because we were told that some people will be also going for church conventions. It's all Easter related. So do you have other insurance also for that?
Exactly. I mean, during this festivity, a lot of travels happening. There are Easter conventions. Other people might decide to go to other tourist centers and not necessarily Kwewu. So in the spirit of nationalism and in the spirit of Easter, we've also put together a huge discount for personal accident cover. For anyone traveling within this Easter period, you're entitled to an 80% discount, 80% discount on personal accident cover. And this is happening in all our Glyco offices nationwide. So walk into Glyco from now up till the end of the Easter period and take your personal accident cover, which is hugely discounted. I mean, for instance, if you take a sum assured of 10,000, you'll be paying as little as 20 Ghana cedis.
And finally, Deputy Minister of Energy Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam has announced government is finalizing local content and regulations for the downstream petroleum sector to ensure stronger local participation. Dr. Adam was speaking at the commissioning of a 13.5 million litre marine gas oil storage tank built by the Ghana Oil Company Limited, GOIL, in Takoradi in the Western region.
The marine gas storage tanks, which cost $15 million, was completed in 18 months with funding from GOIL's own internally generated resources. The tank facility is for the storage and dispatch of marine gas oil at the Takoradi port to upstream vessels. The construction of the project, which began in 2015, was completed in collaboration with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and was executed by Murray and Roberts of South Africa. A Deputy Minister of Energy, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, commended GOIL for exemplary practice in sticking to the local content regulation, hinting on government's plans to finalize regulations in the downstream sector.
For this project, which I understand was funded from the company's own internally generated funds.
The Managing Director and Group CEO of GOIL, Patrick Akoli, said the project, apart from benefiting the state in the form of taxes, will be hugely important for the local economy.
This project, no doubt, will help to revitalize the Takoradi port, energize the general economic activity at the harbour, and bring back to life the once vibrant twin city of Sekindi, Takoradi. This is the contribution from GOIL to this vibrant twin city. GOIL believes that the discovery of oil services rendered should be to the benefit of the country.
The acting chief executive of the National Petroleum Authority, Hassan Tampoli, also recognized GOIL's pioneering role in ensuring local content participation in the petroleum downstream sector.
And finally, before we wrap up, Dafin Finance, it says, is challenging the old ways of doing things, and that is what the company is there for. Dafin Finance ensures your money is working hard for you. Core accounts ensure money does not lie idle, whilst our fixed deposits ensure there is a treasury plus a margin return on hard-earned deposits. The savings plans also aims at a savings habit for future needs. Now, to speak to an advisor, you can call 0302-201-702 or 0302-201-702. You can also log on to www.dafingana.com. www.dafingana.com is the website address. And Dafin Finance, your preferred finance house. And on that note, to wrap up this afternoon's edition of the Marketplace. Many thanks for joining me, and do join again same time tomorrow for another interesting edition. My name is Emmanuel Abwaki.